So here we are in the English Premier League. Who is the biggest club? Let me know in the comment section right now which club in the Premier League is the biggest club. Because I can guarantee by the end of this experiment, it won't be any of these clubs at all. It's probably going to be a non-league club. Hello and welcome back to the TomFM channel. Hope you're all doing well today. If you're new around here, my name's Tom and I make football manager videos, as the name sort of suggests. Anyway, if you like football, ridiculous situations and some pretty weird bottle jobs, then this is the channel for you. So feel free to subscribe. It'd be great to have you on board. So another experiment on the channel. This one though has come out of the comment section actually. It was sort of discussed in the comment section of the bankrupting the Premier League experiment we did a few weeks ago. If you've not seen that video yet, there's a link in the top of the screen right now if you're going to have a look at. That's quite an interesting one. As part of that experiment though, we reduced the reputation of a few different clubs, and that sort of spawned a bit of a discussion in the comment section. I think it was Matty Harris in the end. I think he decided, how about we try and change some reputation in a future experiment? And that's kind of what we've done here. What we've decided to do is swap the Premier League reputation with the National League reputation. So all the Premier League clubs have got National League club reputations, and all the National League clubs, they've got all Premier League club reputations. So this one is a really easy one to do. So we take Arsenal, for example. I've got the in-game editor already pre-installed into the game. You can buy that from Steam if you haven't got it already and you want to use it for your own experiments and things like that. But once you've got it installed and you've got it enabled in the game, a little pencil up here, click on that, edit club details, and on this first screen you see reputation. Now Arsenal's reputation, we've brought it down to 3,200 because we've swapped it with a National League club. The National League club that we have swapped Arsenal's reputation with is Aldershot. So if we look at Aldershot's reputation, they've got a reputation of 8,600 now, and that's out of 10,000 reputation is. So they've got a really high reputation, which makes them one of the best clubs in the world in terms of reputation. Essentially what we've done, Arsenal in real life, they're like a household name across the world. However, we've swapped that with Aldershot now, so only people in England will have heard of Arsenal, whereas everyone around the world will have heard of Aldershot now. What that means is players are going to be more likely to sign for Aldershot because they've got this worldwide reputation than Arsenal, for example, because Arsenal don't have that worldwide reputation anymore. Now, obviously, there's only 20 teams in the Premier League, but there's 24 teams in the National League. So one or two National Leagues have to be doubled up with some Premier League clubs. Newcastle, for example, they are very close to Gateshead and Hartlepool. So Hartlepool and Gateshead have been swapped with Newcastle. And to make it a little bit more interesting as well, I've swapped League 2 reputations with Championship reputations. League 1, because they're in the middle, they've sort of kept their own reputations. But the Championship and League 2, they've been swapped, and the Premier League and the National League have been swapped. If you want to look at it properly, I've made this spreadsheet where I've done everything. Now, what I've tried to do, I've tried to keep it relatively geographical. So Bournemouth, for example, they're on the south coast. Eastleigh, also on the south coast, not too far away, so they've swapped. Obviously, Newcastle, as I said earlier, not too far away from Gateshead or Hartlepool, so they've been swapped sort of thing. There are a few differences because I just looked at a map and tried to pair teams up, basically, and it hasn't quite worked out with some because I've ran out of teams or I just missed teams, for example. So if we look at the Championship, Leeds, who are in Yorkshire, they've been swapped with Exeter, who are on the south coast, just because I missed things out. You know, it doesn't matter too much, but I've tried to keep it geographical, but it's not quite worked out as well as that. If you want to have a more in-depth look at this, then I will leave a little link in the description for you. And also, actually, I'll leave a link to this database as well in the description if you want to start a game with backwards reputations, if you're that way inclined, because it's quite fun. If we actually have a look at the list of most reputable clubs in Europe, the top 5 are currently Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Barrow, and Juventus. Salford actually coming in 6th as well. So, I mean, that's what you can see there. It's some really weird changes to the database already, with Barrow being the 4th best team, or 4th most reputable club, probably in the world, actually. The top 5 clubs in Europe are probably the top 5 clubs in the world in terms of reputation. So Barrow, the 4th best team in the world. Importantly as well, what I've done, I've changed the league's reputation around as well. So the Vanarama National League has the Premier League reputation. So the Vanarama National League is actually currently the 2nd most reputable league in Europe, which is a bit crazy. The Premier League, by comparison, is down here in 93rd. So, and that's below the German regional divisions. So you can see the difference I've already made to the database here. And they are the only changes that I'm planning to make. The rest of it, we're just going to simulate now. So my thoughts on this are that the national clubs that start to get promoted, they'll very quickly get to the Premier League, and we'll start to see a few Premier League sides really drop down as well. So I'm quite excited to see how this pans out. Today's episode, we're going to go 5 seasons into the future, and then we're going to evaluate things from there. There'll be future episodes as well, which you'll enjoy as well, I'm sure. So look forward to those ones. So before I go on holiday for 5 seasons, if you like the idea behind this experiment and think it's going to be quite interesting, please do drop a like on the video for me, and it'd be great to have you involved in the channel. So please feel free to subscribe for more stuff like this. Turn those notification bells on so you don't miss another episode of this. and let's go 5 years in the future. I also get asked as well, when I'm simulating this kind of stuff, what do I actually do? Obviously, I don't just sit here and watch it, but I do listen to a lot of podcasts when this kind of thing goes on. It's usually a lot of history stuff because my degree was in history, but I've recently found this really cool podcast called the Unofficial Controller Podcast, and they've only been going like 3 months, but they're really, really good. And I'm sure I saw they just got up to 13th in like the gaming podcast on like, I don't know, the podcast charts or something like that. And they've recently just put all their podcasts onto YouTube as well, which is quite handy. So I'll leave a link in the description and on the screen right now if you want to go and check those guys out. But I really recommend it because they're actually really good. They cover a massive range of games and stuff like that as well, and it's opened my eyes to a lot of different games out there as well, and I'm sure it would to you. And I'm trying to play a lot more different games at the moment as well, so I recommend it. Go and check them out. And just like that, we are back 5 seasons in the future. Things have gone through. Hopefully we're going to start to see some of these good National League sides push towards the Premier League. Maybe 1 or 2 good Premier League sides drop down as well because of the reputation and everything in between as well. So the first thing we're going to do is go to the National League and see what's happened. So let's look at the league table quickly. Obviously, there's a 2023 league table, so it's not too interesting. I'm more interested actually in looking at the past winners and seeing who has been promoted from a National League. So we start off here in the 2018-19 season, just like real life. Leyton Orient win the league title there, with Dover getting promoted through the playoffs. Salford win it the season afterwards, with Dagenham and Redbridge winning the playoffs. Barnet the season after that with an Aldershot winning the playoffs. Gateshead in the season afterwards with Chesterfield win the playoffs. And then Ebbsfleet just won it, but Barrow winning the playoffs there. So by looks of things, 10 different teams have been promoted, which is very good. I didn't want to see any teams dropping back down from the reputation, and I didn't think that was going to happen, but it's good to see that it's not happened as far as I'm aware at the moment. If we look at the makeup of the division though, there are a few Football League clubs that have dropped down. Grimsby, Rochdale have just been relegated as well, Yeovil, Tranmere, a few teams have dropped down. So that's an interesting first look. If we jump up to League 2 then, I want to see how some of these clubs have got on. So we're looking for National League clubs. So Gateshead and Chesterfield have both been promoted this season, so they're into League 1 next time round, which is good. Dover are there in 9th. And then I can't see any other actual National League clubs there. So we see, obviously, 10 teams have been promoted. 2 of them there have been promoted. And we're just left with Dover now in this division. So the other 7 must be in League 1 or above, which is exciting. If we look at the past winners as well, if we look at this, Dagenham have been promoted, Barnet have been promoted, Aldershot have been promoted, Salford, Leyton Orient, actually, yes. Quite a lot of them have been promoted, which is exciting. A look into League 1 then, and Barnet have just won the division with Aldershot also getting promoted. So when we come back for next episode, Barnet and Aldershot will be starting in the Championship, which is really cool. But I can't see Leyton Orient in 15th, so I thought they might have been promoted. But I can't see Salford. So Salford must have been promoted out of this division at some point as well, looking at this, which again, really promising stuff for looking for getting these National League clubs to the Premier League. If we look at the past winners and past promoted side, yes, Salford won it last season, the 21-22 season, which is exciting. But I think they are the only club that actually has been promoted from a National League system. So they've just had their first season in the Championship by looks of things then. So if we actually go up to the Championship and we have a look at the league table here, Salford have been promoted to the Premier League. So they've been promoted almost every single season. I think they didn't get promoted in that first season in the National League, but since then they've had back-to-back promotions, and they're going to be in the Premier League for next episode, which is really exciting to see. This has worked out better than I thought it was going to work out. I didn't think it would actually be this quick for a team to get there, but clearly the reputation has such a massive impact, and they've just been able to fly up the league, so that's really exciting to see. Who's been relegated from the Premier League then? West Ham are down in 19th. Southampton are in 21st. Derby have been relegated from this division as well, which is interesting. So there is, and Crystal Palace and Cardiff are also there as well. So a few clubs are starting to drop down. If we go up to the Premier League now, finally, doesn't seem to be much change in the top 6 or so. I mean, Everton have sneaked in there as well. Tottenham and Arsenal are down in 12th and 13th respectively, which isn't good for them. So despite Man City's reputation being abysmal, and so is Liverpool's and Man United, they've got National League reputation. I suppose because they had good squads to start off with, they've been able to retain those players, probably the ones on long-term deals. That's probably why they've done so well. If we look at the past winners, it has sort of switched between the Manchester clubs and Liverpool. Tottenham actually came 3rd one season, and Arsenal came 3rd twice as well, but after that they've dropped down quite significantly. So I suppose they've not been able to retain the contracts of players, because once the contracts start to expire from some of these good players, they won't want to re-sign them because the reputations are so low. That's my thinking, at least, with it. So that's the league system then. That's looking pretty exciting for this first episode. I can't wait for next episode to see Salford and how they do in their first season in the Premier League. Because if they keep on their trajectory, they could easily get Champions League in that first season with their reputation. Let's have a quick look at Salford then. I want to see what kind of transfers they've been making. So back in that first season then, they signed Roshawn Williams from Shrewsbury. Now, Roshawn Williams is a very, very good defender. No way he should be signing for a National League club, and that just shows the level of reputation they've got there is really, really top quality. They've signed some good young players as well from other clubs, which is good. Season afterwards, spending £3 million on, again, players from big clubs, I've got to say. Arsenal's, West Brom's, Everton's. I mean, Cardiff, in regards to Salford, are a big club. So that's pretty mental, to be fair, the amount of players I've been trying to sign. Ellis Chapman from Lincoln City for £2 million. That is ridiculous. How Lincoln have managed to get 2.4 rising to 2.9 for Chapman is mental. He's not worth that money and never will be, in my opinion, I don't think. That's a bit harsh, actually, coming from me as a Lincoln fan. But I've not seen enough to warrant that kind of potential when I've seen him play. But, this must be their League One or maybe League Two season. And they're signing players like Kyle Walker-Peters. Like that, he's a top player in the future. Like, he's got a lot of potential. So the fact that Salford have been able to attract these kind of players because of the reputation, this is why that's Reading. This is why they've managed to do so well. Like £14 million this season on some pretty decent players. Gazaniga was that one. That's a class signing for Salford. And then the season we just had, again, more really good players coming in the club as well. So you can see how good this reputation has been for them. We'll look at Barnet as well, because they've done pretty well with promotions. They just got 112 points as well in League One, which is mental. Their transfer history then, how did they start off then in this first season? Spending quite a bit of money, to be fair, on different sort of players and things like that. Doing pretty well. If we look forward again, I mean, in their second season, they managed to sign Tyrone Mings. That's quite impressive, I've got to say, for a Barnet side. And then, we've got some really top quality, 19 million spent there. So obviously they're getting quite a bit of money from somewhere as well. Obviously, that must be the commercial money, I think, because they've got such a good reputation. They must get an awful lot of commercial and sponsorship and stuff like that. So I think that is probably where the money's coming from for these clubs as well. Because, I mean, Rauda Thomas has signed for Barnet. If you watch my Real Deal or Real Day Out save that we did on FM19, you know that Rauda Thomas is a top-class striker capable of being one of the best strikers in La Liga. So how Barnet have got him, I don't know. Well, I do know they've got good commercial deals, obviously, because of the reputation they've got, which has been a massive increase. That's how they've got him. So I am massively impressed with what's happened so far. I did not expect it to happen so quickly, but it has done. Salford will be in the Premier Division next season. Hopefully, teams like Barnet will follow them pretty soon. The Premier League, though, hasn't actually jumped up in reputation at all. It actually dropped down to 94th for a little bit. So clearly, if we go to the Champions League, I don't think any clubs are going to be winning it, are they? Because if you look at the Champions League, league reputation gets increased with better performances in Europe. So clearly, no side's done particularly well, and they haven't actually done any good at all. It's all been PSG or Atletico Madrid so far in all finals pretty much. Napoli and Juventus got to finals, but other than that, it's been dominated by PSG or Atletico, which is crazy. If you look to the Europa League, though, Man City actually won it one season, so that's a bit confusing as to why the reputation of the Premier League's not increased. Because if Man City have won that should give the Premier League a lot of reputation increase. So I don't know if I've just broken something somewhere, because the Premier League shouldn't be 93rd if a club from that division has won the Europa League. It should be a lot higher up, but we'll see what happens in the future, of course. Now, I was kind of hoping that we'd see some of the lower clubs win an FA Cup, but it doesn't seem to have happened, because it's been Man City, Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool, Man City. And Arsenal lost. They've been in 4 finals, Arsenal, but lost 3 of them, which is quite unlucky, to be fair. If we look at the Carabao Cup, the League Cup, again, no real difference there. Bournemouth won it one season, and West Ham and Wolves got to finals, but it's not really changed too much, actually. I didn't think it would happen, but I was hoping that some clubs lower down the divisions would win that. Well, I'll have a look at the Checker Trade Trophy as well. That's the competition for League One and League Two clubs. Barnet won it one season, but no other former National League club has won it. So it's not too exciting, actually, in the cup competitions. But what is exciting is the progress that the clubs in the league have made. I'm very excited to see how they're going to develop. Now, Arsenal's reputation hasn't actually increased that much. They've had 5 seasons now in the Premier League, and they went down to 3,200 reputation. It's only gone up by 800 or so, 900 or so, to 4,091. So they've not really had much are an increase in reputation, which I find quite interesting. Man City's has jumped back up to 6,000 now. They were about down to 3,500. Of course, you can check this on the spreadsheet, of course, that's in the description, in the link in the description. But yeah, we can see that Man City managed to increase their reputation back up quite well. 6,000 is pretty good. That's kind of like a championship level reputation, I would say, 6,000. A team like Southampton, though, who have only just avoided relegation from the championship, their reputation's dropped massively to 665. I feel like I must have missed off a digit when I was doing their reputation here, because that seems a little bit too low, I'm gonna say. That seems like a ridiculously low reputation. Let's look at Crystal Palace as well. What's their reputation at then? Edit club details. There's a 2,500. Theirs actually dropped a bit as well, because I'm sure their reputation was about 3,000 when I changed it. In fact, let's have a look. Crystal Palace, when we changed it, was 2,950. So it has dropped a little bit, hasn't it, I think? Southampton's was 6,850. It should have been changed to 2,500. So either, I think I must have just done something wrong with that one, because that seems, they shouldn't have dropped that far in reputation at all. But that's that. That's your introduction to this experiment. We've gone 5 seasons in the future and quite a lot's changed already. Next episode, we're going to go another 5 seasons in the future and analyse that a bit further as well, because I think a lot of change is going to happen in the next 5 seasons as well. And after that, we may go and try 10, 15 seasons or so in the future for the episode after that. So that'll be exciting. That, though, is that for today's episode. So if you have enjoyed it, please do drop a like on the video for me. And it'd be great to have you involved in the channel. So please do subscribe. There's going to be a subscribe button in the middle of the screen right now. And then you've got a choice of 2 videos to watch. You can either watch another experiment, or you can get involved with the Lincoln Loco series that we've got going on, where I've taken my local non-league club, Lincoln United, from step 8, and we're trying to get to the Premier League and the Champions League, and it's going quite well at the moment, so get involved with that. So I'll see you in one of those videos. Have a good one. Goodbye.